Hey guys, over the last couple of years, I've had loads of people ask me how they can support the show, and now you can. So if you like this show and you want to support it and you want to keep it free, head on over to everyonelovesguitar.com/support. That's everyonelovesguitar.com/support. Thanks for all you do. If you're a business owner and you want to increase your cash flow, or if you're a label or artist and you want to promote new music, then listen up. For information about advertising on Everyone Loves Guitar, including information on geographically targeted ads, go to everyonelovesguitar.com/advertise. That's everyonelovesguitar.com/advertise. Hey guys, I got to tell you a quick story. I recently put in a pair of EMG pickups into my Les Paul Classic. And tinkering with electronics, wires, not my bag. That being said, a little over an hour later, I'd installed the pickups with literally no problems at all. And the quality of the sound is absolutely amazing. I put in the retroactive Fat 55s. That's a new set that they have, and that's because I wanted a vintage, British Brown sound. And these Fat 55s are modeled after the tone of the classic PAFs, which is exactly what I got. The thing I wasn't expecting is it sort of feels like my volume and tone knobs have been expanded to 20. There's like a lot more responsiveness in the volume and tone, and I could even get harmonics now at low volumes on the neck pickup, and any preconceived notions I had about installation being difficult or, there's a problem having a battery in there were totally wrong. The battery thing, it's like putting a battery in one of my kids' toys when they were little children growing up. It's just a total non-issue. And in fact, I'm going to wind up getting the Strat set next because installation for that is even easier because it comes with the pick guard and the pickup's already attached to the pick guard. And if you want to check out EMGs for yourself, now's actually a great time to do this because Rob and Allison are making a special offer available for listeners of this show only. And here it is. For a limited time, head on over to emgpickups.com, buy one or more sets of pickups, and enter ELG in the discount code section of the shopping cart. ELG, of course, for Everyone Loves Guitar. And they're going to give you 15% off, which is huge. The biggest discounts they ever give is 10%. Plus, they're going to give away $70 worth of free bonuses, including an EMG cinch bag, a pick tin, lanyard, stickers, and a t-shirt. Plus, you get a money-back guarantee if you're not 100% satisfied. Plus, not a 2-year performance guarantee on the performance of the actual pickups themselves, but a lifetime performance guarantee. And on top of everything else, you're going to get free shipping. So there's basically no risk at all here for you to try a set or two of EMG pickups. And the great thing about these pickups is, and I got 2 sets, once you install them, and by the way, there's no soldering involved at all, because I couldn't have done it if there was, quite frankly. But once you do install them, all you need to do to swap them out and put another set in is literally disconnect one wire on each pickup, and then you're done. That's it. It's kind of like putting Legos together. It's that easy. So go to emgpickups.com, enter ELG in the shopping cart for your discount code, and that's it. You get to take advantage of this offer right now. Man, this one's always a big challenge. If you want to buy or sell a home or investment property and you're here in the Tampa Bay area, in Hillsborough, Pinellas, or Pasco counties, then listen up. West Florida Real Estate is a local residential real estate broker that's helped over 250 Bay Area homeowners buy and sell their properties in the last 4 years alone. If you're looking to sell, you'll want to get their free report, The 7 Biggest Mistakes Homeowners Make When Hiring a Realtor. And if you're looking to buy a property, you definitely want to get your hands on the 21 Most Expensive Mistakes Tampa Home Buyers Make When Buying a Home. Each one of these reports is going to save you time and money. Inside, you'll discover the 7 most important things to consider when hiring a realtor, what to do if you're buying and selling a home at the same time, and the danger of choosing a realtor who agrees with everything you say. To get your hands on these free reports, head on over to westfloridarealestate.com. That's westfloridarealestate.com. Hey everybody, this is Craig Garber. Welcome to Everyone Loves Guitar. Got a really cool special guitar player and a Grammy Award winner with us today with the one and only Larry Mitchell. And before we get started, I just want to say thanks, Steve Vai, for hooking us up. Larry's a Grammy Award-winning producer, engineer, and performer who's toured the world playing guitar with well-known artists including Tracy Chapman, Billy Squier, Ric Ocasek from The Cars, and Miguel Bose. As an artist, he's released 9 solo records, and he won a San Diego Music Award for Best Pop Jazz Artist. As a producer and engineer, he's won 26 New Mexico Music Awards in a variety of categories, from pop, adult contemporary, rap, rock, country, and Native American. He won a Grammy Award for producing, engineering, and performing on Totemic Flute Chants by artist Johnny Whitehorse, who's also better known as Robert Mirabal of Taos, Pueblo. We'll talk about that later. Larry is currently touring with his own trio, as well as with native artists Shelley Morningsong, Dawn Avery, Joy Harjo, yeah, it's not Spanish.
Harjo,
yeah, Harjo, and Robert Mirabal. Man, Native American names are like just like totally badass, man. You know, very, very full of character. You know.
Yeah, sure.
Man, thank you for coming on the show. I appreciate your time, Larry.
Sure. Thanks for inviting and asking me to be on.
You're welcome. I know you're living in Alabama now, correct?
Yes.
Okay, but it seems like I think you mentioned you also, I know you lived in New Mexico, and I would gather from all these San Diego Music Awards, you lived in San Diego. And I think we talked, you're originally from New York. So if you could tell me maybe your trajectory as far as, you know, where you started and where you went and what was going on that attracted you to each new place.
Well, I mean, almost none of those moves are for music. Almost. I was born in Brooklyn and then raised in Queens, Far Rockaway, Queens. And same place Steve Stevens was the local guitar hero when I was coming up.
That's funny, man. Man, you must know, wait a minute, you must know all those, you know, Ronnie Drayton?
Oh, yeah, I know Ronnie. Sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
He's a Queens guy. I interviewed him, and just a bunch of guys from Queens out there, man. I can't think off the top of my head.
It's a good music scene, especially in the 80s.
Yeah.
So then I lived in Manhattan for a little while, and then I moved to San Diego with a girlfriend at the time, and didn't even play out in San Diego or tell many people I played guitar for the first year.
Why?
It was a strange music scene for me for a minute.
Really? Like what was strange? What like compared to what you're used to, or?
Yeah, I was used to, don't get me wrong. I mean, there's some great musicians in San Diego, and I'm friends with lots of great musicians. But at the time, I just kept meeting the wrong guitar players. I kept meeting guys with massive egos.
Really?
Yeah, it was hilarious. But I mean, tell you, it was I met the worst of the worst as far as ego-wise at the beginning. Not everybody was like that, but in the beginning, I'd be out. I knew 2 musicians, and they would say, "Well, let me take you out and introduce you to some of the guys on the local music scene." I was like, "Sure." And I swear it was like the first 3 people I met were guitar players. Were like, "Oh, cool, you play guitar? Cool, welcome to San Diego. Hey, you should hang with me because I'm the best guitar player in San Diego." And coming from New York,
yeah,
you don't say stuff like that.
No, man.
I don't care how good you are, because I mean, there's just monsters everywhere. And so I was, first I was like, is he kidding? What's that's wild. And then, and the woman I was dating at the time didn't hold back. And so I think it was like the second one or the third one, somebody said something almost exactly like that. And she was like, "Oh, really? Because we met this other guy last night, said he was the best guitar player."
Oh my God. Good for her, man.
I don't understand. You know, I was just blown away that people would just say stuff like that.
That's unusual for musicians in general. Like I've spoke to like 550 musicians. Like maybe 1 or 2 have given me that vibe. That's it.
Yeah, it's rare. It was rare.
Yeah.
I just happened to meet some of the craziest guitar players and drummers in a row, for whatever reason, because that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And one other place that I was at for a while was the same thing with drummers. And I was like, really? I know, because I do know some amazing drummers. That's a bold statement, you know?
Yeah, really. I would be willing to bet none of those guys are musicians today.
I don't know. I haven't heard much from any of them.
There you go.
So I really don't know.
Yeah.
But it was about a year, because after a while I told my friends, said, "You know what? I'll go out, but don't tell anybody I play guitar. I don't. I'm full up on meeting some of the best players around. So I just want to go hang out and meet people on a people basis." And And then when I started playing out there, I started meeting a different crop of people, and it was really cool. I had met some amazing people in San Diego. So
very cool, man.
But that initial thing was just whack.
Yeah, that had to put a damper on your move.
I was like, wow, that's just bold. I was like, okay, where did we move to? And then I moved back to New York to work for these pop producers, Berman Brothers, and for a year and a half. And
wait a minute, was that relationship done?
Yes.
How did I know that?
Yeah. So working for the Berman Brothers was cool because I was besides like little side production stuff, I was basically working to instruct two young bands that they had. One was a boy band in LA, and not like NSYNC, but like Blink-182 type rock and roll, but aggressive band. And actually, we went through a couple of bass players, and the last bass player was, I think he was 13 when he auditioned for the band, and his name is Steven Brunner. He's actually now Thundercat.
Thundercat.
Curriculum. So every day, not that he needed it, but every day I would give 2 guitar lessons, since there's 2 guitar players, a bass lesson, a drum lesson, and then kind of oversee vocal lessons. But Stephen walked in at like 12 or 13 and just wailed, and I was like, oh, this is a 13-year-old with a 5-string bass. Oh, this is gonna be interesting. And he just wailed all over it. He killed it. But and then later on, I think he played with Ice-T's Body Count, and then Erykah Badu for a long time.
Oh wow! So he was legit.
Oh yeah, Thundercat. Look him up. Thundercat is ridiculous. Yeah, he's a fine adult now. Just killing it. Great player. But and then the girl band was the same thing, but on the East Coast. And I think it was called Luna Bell. No, I can't remember what the name of the band was now. We changed it. They changed it. But they both had record deals and stuff. So I was just I was just organizing and make sure that everything sounded right and stuff like that. But,
cool, man.
And then I moved to, I wanted to get out of the pop world and get back into producing singer-songwriters. So there's an artist that I had met named Eileen Meyer in San Diego when I lived there. And I produced her first record. And when I was living in Brooklyn and getting tired of that scene for a while, she contacted me and wanted to do another record. So I said, well, I'll come to Santa Fe. She was living in Santa Fe at the time. I said, I'll come to Santa Fe to produce a record. And then I finally got out of there after 9/11 and produced a record. And then I met a woman that became my wife for 7 years. And we had a great time there. And I started playing with Native American artists. And then Robert's record label, Silverwave, asked me to produce a couple of records, Shelley Morning Songs record, which did really well, and then the 3 Johnny Whitehorse records.
That's cool, man. So, like, did you have any past history with Native American artists, or like, is there any tie? I mean, it was just random.
Yeah, almost. This is gonna sound really weird, but almost everything in my life seems random until you take a step back.
Go ahead.
Right before I went out to New Mexico, when I was actually 2 years before I left San Diego to go back to New York, I met this guy who said he was Hickory Apache, and I didn't know what that meant. I knew what Apaches were, but I didn't know what that meant. And he was stressing to me the 4 directions, and he was playing Native American flute, and he was a proud Apache. And he was telling me about a lot of stuff, and I was like, oh, this is cool, you know. All right, great. So then I moved to New York. I did the stuff with the Berman Brothers, and this friend of mine called me up and said, "There's this woman EK that has a gig, and her band quit. And actually, some of the guys in her band left to join one of the bigger rock bands in the world. But that's, I think, the main reason they quit." But so he goes, "Can you do this gig? Can we, it's like in a couple of days, can you learn the songs?" It's in Minneapolis. I'm like, okay. So I go into finishing up the stuff I'm doing, and we're on the plane. I'm listening to stuff and go, this is kind of cool. I go, what kind of gig is this, by the way? And she goes, it's a powwow. I'm going, what do you mean a powwow? She goes, it's a Native American powwow. There's going to be 10,000 Indians there. I'm like, what? I could not fathom that. Like,
Yeah.
East Coast, we're taught that, Indians are past tense,
Right.
So I was like, all right. And I had a really great experience. And then when that was over, I went back to New York and then I finally left New York and went to Santa Fe, New Mexico to work on this record. And I had been programming some strings, some cellos and stuff like that. And the artist I was working with, she goes, there's a great cellist in town that you should meet with. Maybe he could play real cello. And I'm like, oh, cool. I'd like to check it out. So we tried to get a hold of him. He was on tour with Robert Mirabal. And
wow.
So in the process, I looked up Robert's PBS special and go, wow, this is really cool. And then when Michael, the cellist, came back in town, I met him and recorded him. And then I think it was 2 weeks later, I think it was almost 2 weeks later, maybe a little longer. I got asked, my ex-wife and we got asked to host a fundraiser for a guy running for governor in the state.
Wait a minute, was that couldn't be random either? Like, were you politically involved or like? No. You just randomly got asked to host
We had a nice house.
Oh, okay. Something was up.
We had a really nice place.
Okay.
Actually, this had to be longer than 2 weeks. Had to be longer. No, maybe, yeah, it had to be a little bit longer than 2 weeks.
Okay.
Anyway, this guy was running for governor, so we had the fundraiser, and I decided, since I didn't know anybody, and it wasn't mine.
Wait a minute, this is so funny. You're not even don't even have any buddies in town, and you're hosting.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So I decided to set up in the corner and sit and play guitar. And so they said, well, we're doing a formal, like a public fundraiser. Would you play at it? So I called a couple of friends and they flew in. I have some awesome friends. They flew in and was my band, which was amazing. That they agreed to do that. And on the bill was Robert Mirabal and that cellist that I met that I had recorded.
Michael.
And a couple of weeks after that, I got a call from Robert's manager, said that Robert's guitar player had quit. Would I mind filling in for him for a couple of shows? And that was basically an 8-year run, I think, of doing that. And then he took some time away, and then back every now and then it's all spotty and stuff like that. But yeah.
Wow. So yeah, when you pull back and you see it, there was like premonitions or like another meeting set it up.
Yeah. When you step back, you can say, I turned down this road. I don't know why I turned down this road, but I turned down this road. Oh, and I passed that and I passed that. And oh, this happened. And all these things are on the road when you look back far enough. You know what I mean? Yeah,
that's kind of cool. I like when that happens because you could feel some sense of, that there was somebody working on something good for you,
Yeah. No, yeah. That has actually happened. The further back I take I step, the more I see the connections and where they started.
That's wild.
You have something where all of a sudden something is dominant in your life, and you go, "Wow, that just came out of nowhere." A lot of times, it didn't really come out of nowhere. It had little seedlings along the way for a little bit.
It's like that movie, Slumdog Millionaire. Do you remember that movie? Did you ever see that?
Oh yeah, I haven't seen that in a while. Yeah.
It was about that though. He had these little things that happened to him along the way, and each one of them allowed him to answer one of those questions. It was very unlikely to happen, but it was serendipity in like the totality of it all. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like practice. It's like you get a little preparation for what's about to happen.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Thank you. Those are good stories. So talk about, I'm going to mention the names of a few of your artists that you work with. Talk about how you got the gig and if there's a cool or interesting story about working with them. Let's start with Tracy Chapman.
You should go the other direction.
All right. Start with Ric Ocasek.
Yeah. Okay. I was recording my first record, and we actually mixed it at Unique Studios in New York City. It's no longer there anymore, but it was a big studio in New York. And I did because of budgets, I did some of my solos in the studio right before we mixed.
Okay.
It's one of those things. And there was a couple of guys that were in the studio downstairs, and they had come up for whatever reason and heard me play a little bit. and they said, they asked me if I would play on this Misha Parrish record. So I played on that record.
Dude, you're like a gig magnet.
No.
Well, I was playing it's like every time you pick up your guitar, man, you're like, hey, can you come to that event in 2 weeks? We're doing that. Hey, this guy needs a guitar player.
You know what? We'll get back to the story. I have to tell people, I have friends or people I've met, and they go, how do you get this and how do you get that? And no one's calling me for this. I go, if no one knows you play,
yeah,
no one's gonna call.
100%.
So if you hibernate in your house, you could be just a badass shredder, but
right,
who knows?
Right.
So
it's people.
Yeah. So you go out and things happen. You go out and play and things happen. But anyway, so I went down and played a solo on this Misha Parrish record, and those guys I didn't know worked for one of my heroes, Nile Rodgers. And it's a long way around to get to it. So they, I believe, told Nile about me, and then there's two women that I met that were friends with Nile Rodgers, and they said, "Oh, you got to meet Nile, like random. You got to meet Nile. He really dig you." And I'm like, "Nile who?" And they said, like, "Sure, I'd love to meet Nile." So I met Nile and kind of remembered my name from somewhere. And then another odd story, which I'm gonna leave some names out. I happened to go. Everything used to happen to. You've been in New York, right?
I'm from New York. Yeah, of course.
Oh, you're from New York. So remember the China Club back in the 80s? In the early 90s? There was like all the celebrities hanging out and stuff. I went to, one time I missed a train to get back out to Queens, and it was late, so I decided to go. It was on a weekend too, so it was different kind of people that hang out on the weekend than they do on a weekday. And I decided to go up to China Club because I had like hours to kill. And I walked in, didn't know anybody there. Oddly, they let me in. Normally,
Yeah, I was just on a week. Yeah, on a weekend.
Yeah, it's different bouncers, but for whatever reason, they let me in. And I didn't recognize anybody except Nile Rodgers grabbed me and said, "Hey, Larry, how you doing?" And I'm like, "Cool, nice to meet you, nice to see you again." And he goes, "Man, it's so different here." I go, "Yeah, it's a strange night." So we talked for a little bit, then we parted, and I sat down at a table because I had no place to go, and I also don't drink. I never drank.
Right.
So I'm sitting there with my.
Like you never drank?
I never drank.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, just not your thing. Any reason in particular, or?
No, it was never my thing. I used to drink sips of beer on people's birthdays, but I don't do that. I haven't done that in 30 years almost. The other stories are shorter, but this is
dude. Just be you, man. This is like I'm not timing the shit. It's like just tell it.
So I sat down. I'm drinking my Coca-Cola probably at the time, and these 4 people sit down next to me, and one of the women was not really enjoying her date, and so she kept leaning over to talk to me. She was a model,
right?
And I was like, "Oh okay." And so when we all got up to dance at one point, and then when we came back, Nile came and sat down next to me, and he goes, "Can you introduce me to her?" And I'm like, "Sure." So I introduced him to this model, and we were talking for a little while, and it was just surreal. I'm sitting with Nile Rodgers and a very well-known model, and just having a conversation. Didn't know the model, but we just got to know each other for a little bit. And then Nile got up to leave, and he goes, "Hey, what are you doing tomorrow?" I said, "Anything you want me to do." He goes, "I'm working on this Ric Ocasek record. I think there's a song that would be great for you to do a solo on." I'm like, "Okay." And he goes, "All right, I'll call you in the morning, and we'll make it happen. Get the rig out there and stuff like that." And I show up, and it's Ric Ocasek's record.
Where was this? What studio was this at?
Skyline. I believe it was Nile's studio at the time.
Okay.
I don't know if he owned it all the time, but it was Skyline Studios in Manhattan.
He's like from the Lower East Side or something like that, I think.
I don't know where Nile is from. Ever since I've known him, he does have a place in Manhattan, but he might be from the Lower East Side. But I believe he's upstate.
Okay.
Or Connecticut, maybe. I don't know. So did that. Rick was really nice, and
this was post Cars fame.
Yeah, this is his 3rd solo record.
Right. Okay.
Fireball Zone.
Okay.
Rick really help lead. Like he would say things like, he's a great producer. I could see why he became a big producer later on after his solo career. He would say things, oh, that was really cool what you just did. And he would hum something. I'm like, that's not what, he just subtracted a bunch of notes.
Okay.
He could weed through and call it out. So I'd play some stuff. And then afterwards, he called me up and he said, hey, can you come by the house a little bit? I'd like to talk with you about some stuff. So I was like, sure. So I went to his place and he played me some of the other tracks. We talked for a bit and he goes, I'd like you to come and play on more of the record. So I went and played on, I think I played on 7 songs. I'd have to look at it on the record. And it's really cool. It was really cool.
That's awesome, man.
Right?
Dude, you're just oh my God. I mean, that just cracks me up how you randomly run into the like Nile Rodgers, and then he's asking you to meet this supermodel that you didn't even know until 5 minutes ago. That's funny as hell.
Yes.
You must have been like a pinch me moment for you as well. When you got home at the end of the night, you must have God, that was weird.
Oh yeah, because it was a night out of the ordinary. Plus, Nile Rodgers asked me to play on something, so it's great. So I'm getting to everybody because everybody's connected. Did the record. Ric is planning a tour. I get to meet Ric's supermodel, Paulina Korsakova, who was really sweet, wonderful person.
He was married to her?
Yes.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
They still are.
Yeah. Oh, they still are. That's unusual. Good for them.
They're great.
That's awesome. Absolutely. No, it's unusual to have a celebrity relationship that long.
I think they do. Yeah, I think that they take every precaution to make sure it works.
Yeah. You know? Cool. Hey, you have to do that anyway, whether you're a celebrity or not, you know?
Yeah. Yes. But, so I'm like, talk to Ric's manager and he's like, yeah, we're going to go on the road and definitely want you to do the tour, blah, blah, blah. There's some other stuff that happened. That's a whole nother story, but, that was really cool. But, so I'm like, okay, cool. I got a gig. I'm not going to do anything. I don't have to do anything. I just have to hang out, learn some Carter songs and be ready to play, right? That's what you should be doing. Right. Again, I go back to the China Club one night and I walk in and I immediately see Bobby Chenard, Alan St. John, and Mark Clark, 3 of the core members of the Billy Squier Band. In 1989, I had auditioned for the Billy Squier Band, and but I didn't get it. I had a great time with those guys. And Billy even came to see me play, and we even talked about some other stuff. But for whatever reason, they didn't take me on the road, which was fine. He was looking for a rhythm guitar player? At the time, he was looking for a guitar player. Just a guitar, yeah. Yeah, like Jeff Golub was on tour with Rod Stewart. So Jeff and him would swap leads. Okay. And so 89, I didn't get the gig. Here we are in 1991. I'm walking in the China Club, and see those guys and I talked to them a little bit and they go, hey, Billy's here. Yeah, why don't you hang out and say hello? I'm like, sure. So I hang out. Billy comes out. Billy's happy to see me. And I go, what's going on? You guys all live at the opposite ends of the earth from each other. Why is everybody here? He goes, oh, we got a new record out and we're going on the road. And we're here actually looking for a guitar player. And I was like, oh, cool. So we watched about 2 songs, I think, of the guy that they came to see. And Billy turned to me and goes, no, you should come on the road with us. You're coming on the road with us. I go, but I'm waiting to go on the road with Ric Ocasek. And he had an interesting comment about that. But he goes, well, when is it going to start? I said, I don't know. He goes, we're only going on the road for 5 weeks. It turned out to be, I believe, 6 months, 5.5 months ago. But he's like, we're only going out for 5 weeks. And I'm like, oh, okay, I just have to check. And he goes, we got this great new band on Capitol that's going to open the tour, and they're really cool and exciting. I go, who's that? And he goes, a band called Maggie's Dream. And those were my friends. So funny. So my friends are going on the road, opening, and Billy, and I loved Billy's music, and I enjoyed the time I auditioned for them. I actually went back several times and played with them before they ended up going with, I think, Jimmy Crespo. The guy who used to play for Aerosmith. Yeah. Wow. They went. Yeah, in '89, Jimmy Crespo got the gig. So Billy goes, well, let's talk tomorrow. So the next day, I checked with Ric's manager. He goes, well, I'm pretty sure that you're safe for 5 weeks because I don't think Ric's going to do anything right now for 5 weeks. So I'm like, okay. this is cool. Billy calls, we talk. I tell him I could do it, and then we're around in the room. Again, the other story that involves two supermodels and a massive thing, it would just take really way too long.
Dude,
but
how is this like, how does, I'm 55. I've never met a supermodel. You're like swimming in them. What's the deal?
It's New York. It was New York. It was actually, that's what it was.
It was the spot at the China Club. Yeah.
And so did Billy's tour. That's over with. Did a couple.
Wait a minute, but I thought you said it went on 6 months.
Yeah. It
was. What happened with Rick? Did his tour get delayed or
it didn't have, the record didn't sell it well. We did a couple of things. We did the Lighthouse benefit at Montauk Point with Billy Joel and Paul Simon.
And then that was about it.
Yeah.
Wow. So it turned out to be like, thank goodness.
Thing.
Yeah. But I mean, thank goodness you happened to connect with them. So you had to, you would have, imagine if you'd have said, no, I got this gig.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It was, I just had to go through the proper channels and make sure I could do it. And then, of course, the minute Billy Squier's tour started, Rick's manager called and said, hey, we're doing a video for the first single, Fireball Zone, and Rick wants you to be in it. And I'm like, I'm on the road with Billy Squier. So for a while, I had to go back and forth.
Right.
And the same thing with I did the Montauk benefit in the middle of the Billy Squier tour, or the beginning. Yeah, it was in the middle of the Billy Squier tour. It's another one of those things, how things worked out. Everything just worked out.
Yeah.
Perfectly. So at the end of 91, I was pretty much still promoting my record. I had done the Billy Squier tour. Rick's record came out. There were some videos on YouTube, one I was in. But that was cool. It was a nice run. It was time to get back to being a solo artist. And I got a phone call out of the blue, which I did not believe was. And it was from a guy named Elliot Roberts, who's the manager of managers at the time. And he goes,
manager of who?
He's the manager of managers, I call it.
Okay.
You'd have to, yeah. He called and said that he was managing Tracy Chapman, and they wanted to know if I would be interested in going on the road with her. And I'm like, who is this? I didn't believe it. It was like, because my music was so far from Tracy's music, it's not funny.
Yeah, yeah.
And, so he goes, well, I'm in town. I'm down at a hotel with Neil Young. If you want to, meet in the city. I'm like, you with Neil Young?
You, Neil, and Elliot?
Elliot Roberts. And Roberts? Yeah, Elliot Roberts. And I said, I'll be right down. So I hopped on the train, came into Manhattan. And of course, he's like, yeah, all right. So just I'll introduce you to Neil, but don't talk with Neil. Let him just do his thing. I'm like, okay. Now, I still didn't believe.
What is up with that?
Happening. And I'm a fan of model railroads. And Neil had I believe at the time, it still owned Lionel trains.
I didn't know Neil owned Lionel trains.
Lionel train. I believe he had a son or has a son that's maybe on the autistic spectrum.
Yes.
And
I think he's got two kids on the autistic. Yeah.
And I knew that they had a barn that had a massive train railroad set up in it. And I believe that him and a few friends, when Lionel was in trouble, had purchased it. Not for profit, but to hold on to it until keep it afloat until somebody that would do something with it for real would buy the company. So, of course, I meet Neil and I immediately want to talk about Lionel trains. And he was cool. He was very cool.
What was the deal? Like, don't talk to Neil. What is that all about?
Well, I think that's celebrity things, like don't bother the celebrities and stuff like that. And some of them I don't even know if they know that their people are saying that. But if you're in a movie set, if you're an extra on a movie set, you're not allowed to talk to them. But if they talk to you, that's different. So
I mean, I kind of get that, but it's not like you're like some high school music and art student, man. You know what I mean? You're like a professional seasoned guitar player, producer.
Those were the rules. I broke them.
Yeah, good for you, man. That's like, that's very weird.
Yeah, because I still didn't believe it was true. I was like, why am I? So everything's cool. I go out, and then I meet the guy handling Tracy's day-to-day stuff was Rick's manager at the time.
Was Ric Ocasek?
Rick. So
wow.
at the time, but when I was doing this stuff with Rick, his manager ended up working with Elliot Roberts, who was handling Tracy directly on the road.
Talk about serendipity, man.
Yes, when Tracy was looking for a guitar player, my name came up from Rick and from Rick's manager.
Okay, cool.
I want to say David Kramer, but I can't remember. I think it was David Kramer. But
crazy, man.
Yeah, and I had got my first acoustic guitar from Ibanez that December of '91, and in '92, beginning of '92, I was on the road with Tracy. So,
wow.
Little seeds happen.
Yeah, man, that's really crazy. How long were you on the road with Tracy for?
I want to say that was, I don't know exactly. I think it was 6 months. I don't think it was longer. Well, it might have been a little longer because we had like a month off. It was longer. We had a month off and we went back and did the West Coast, California again.
Where is she based out of? Or was she at the time? San
San
Francisco.
Francisco area.
Yeah. Wow. Holy smokes, man.
Yeah.
That really blows my mind. Yeah, that's some very cool stuff, man. How that all tied in together. Now I see why you said go the other way around.
Yeah, because
it all circled back.
Billy, but it's Rick and then order is Rick and Billy and then Tracy, but how everything happened was kind of Billy to
right, because you auditioned
Rick
for
to Billy to Tracy.
That's really cool. How was that? How was the Billy tour?
It was great. I wish I was into vintage guitars at the time. I was with Ibanez Guitars at the time, and so I had like a Bradshaw rig and 5 preamps in it, and I had 5 or 6 of these multicolored guitars and stuff like that. And Billy had a 58 burst, a no-caster, a 257 gold tops, and a 59 Les Paul Jr.
Oh my God,
that's 58 burst on the road.
That's. I guess back then it wasn't worth $250,000.
No, but it was worth a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had friends that came out to rehearsal, and I had one friend, Ira, who was like, you can't take these guitars on the road, Billy. He goes, why not? He goes, because. He goes, no, this is what I play.
That's cool.
I'm not going to own these and then play like something else. So.
Yeah.
And that was his logic, and it was great. And his idea of tone, it was great. His idea of tone was he used, I think they had about 12 heads on the road for Marshall heads. So he had a 100-watt plexi for clean sound, no master volume, obviously, and then a 50-watt JCM 800 for leads, an AB box and a wah pedal. So he would start with a no-caster, and then you beef it up, and you pick up the Les Paul Jr., 59 Jr. with the P90, and then you move to the 57 gold tops, and then you end the show with the 58 burst.
That's cool, man. I like that. That's right up my alley. That's cool.
I wish I was into it big time then, because now I'm all over it. I'm all over it. So.
What would you say are the top, if it's possible, top 3 musical experiences you've had? Just knee-jerk reaction. Because you've done a lot of different things with a lot of different people in a lot of different genres and in capacities.
Well, going back a little bit, again, the story is too long, really too long to say, but the Montauk benefit with Ric Ocasek playing Cars songs, looking over and realizing that's Ric Ocasek from the Cars singing the songs, playing on the right side, turning and seeing supermodel number 1, Christy Brinkley, and then running across the stage and seeing supermodel number 2, Pauline Korsakova, both of them with video cameras. You kind of go, all right, this is it. And then afterwards, walk on stage and meeting Paul Simon and Billy Joel.
That's cool, man. Yeah, plus those are all like New York guys. Paul Simon and Billy Joel anyway.
Yeah. That's cool. And I met a couple other people that I'm still really good friends with at that whole event. So that's one. There's so many. I don't know about the top 3. It's really hard.
Just knee-jerk reaction, man.
Being being in bed because we didn't go to the Grammys, but watching it online and going, we just won a Grammy.
How come you didn't?
Because we didn't think that we were going to win,
That's so funny.
We didn't. And then we did, Robert and I, we had a gig in Florida a few days before. And then we both regretted. We're like, we should probably go just to go. But Robert had the voucher with the free tickets at his house. And we were in Florida. And I think to go there and then to go to California, I don't think we could have done it. It was the 50th anniversary of the Grammys. So I don't think we could have done it. So having that regret and saying that, well, if we ever get nominated again, we'll go. And then, of course, we got nominated for the third record. The second record won. Got nominated for the third record and did not go again. But
it didn't go again? How come?
I don't know.
That's funny, man.
But yeah.
There you go. Oh, wow. It's I've never seen a real Grammy. Let me see that.
It's heavy.
Yeah. Very cool, man. So it's like a phonograph, an old school phonograph. Larry Mitchell, producer, engineer. That's great, man.
Well, you could read that. You got good eyes.
Well, it's like you're holding it right up. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, that's cool, man. Very cool.
Thanks.
Let me ask you this. When you guys did on the road for the Native American stuff, would you go to like reservation places or like is there a big market for that with like non-Native Americans?
Oh yeah, there's a huge market for non-Native Americans. We would do mostly cultural art centers, theaters, some casinos. It was the beginning of me understanding that alternate venues exist, alternate places to get your music out. I actually don't enjoy playing clubs that much. There's a few clubs that I enjoy, but most of the time the experience is not the best.
Because
there's lots of reasons. I enjoy house concerts.
Right.
Even if it's like 30, 40 people.
Sure.
I enjoy house concerts. I enjoy listening rooms now. I play a lot of solo shows where I'm playing with tracks or I'll play an acoustic set and then I'll electric set with tracks. I enjoy those because people are engaged in hearing, like when I do the house concerts, I tell stories about where the songs come from.
Yeah. So it's almost like you're hanging out with a bunch of buddies, sort of, and not the performance pressure isn't there, but it's a different set of expectations. It
is. In a club, it seems like more people are not necessarily paying attention. They're more, maybe it's the wrong kind of clubs. There are some clubs that have been great, but in general, it's like they're there for many other reasons besides the music.
Yeah, your life randomly is intersecting with theirs, as opposed to at a house concert, people are coming deliberately, or a small cultural arts center. Yeah.
Yes.
I totally.
And so, yeah, Robert turned me onto that by accident. I was aware that that's what we were doing. We're playing the casinos, which was like an inside theater kind of thing, or the outside amphitheater. We played a lot of reservations as well for the tribe, but there's lots of places that we played that was, there were not a whole lot of natives there. There were people there outside that were looking for the culture, and Robert was good at storytelling as well, like most natives who perform are. And then we did a thing in Santa Fe for Indian Market, and the venue happened to be a club, the one big club at the time in Santa Fe. And Robert had this grin on his face like, wow, this is exciting. And there were lots of people there. But it was a normal thing. There was too many bands, and it was hot. And it was so not about the music. It's not funny. But
yeah.
So I'm like, what? We're playing, and he's looking at me and goes, this is great. I never did this before. I'm like, what? What have you not done before? And he goes, I never played in a club before. And I'm like, what? And it took me like a whole song to realize that he's basically not played in clubs like that before. Wow. He's used to theaters and cultural arts centers, and we played in schools, where we played all kinds of places and stuff like that, but the normal club thing was not it. That's wild. And then when I moved down to Alabama, I got a trio, and we've gotten a van for the first time in my life, doing my stuff in the South in a van, 8-hour car drives and pulling into a club, and 3 years of doing some of the wrong clubs will definitely take that excitement out of it. And So now that's why one of the reasons why I'm back to. I have rhythm sections kind of scattered around the country, scattered around the world, actually. And so I'll go up to Seattle and I have a rhythm section I've been playing with for 20 years up there.
Oh, great.
And I'll go up to Seattle and Tacoma and play like maybe 3 band shows with those guys, but I'll do 5 or 6 house concerts or guitar clinics or something involving kids at a school. And I enjoy that.
Did you do a guitar clinic down here in the last year? I'm in Tampa at Replay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I did that last year.
I thought so. Because I didn't know you then, but I thought.
Yeah, it was great doing this. Lots of people there. It was really cool. I just contacted them.
Great store.
Yeah, it's a great store. They just sent me a message that the guy who booked it, John, is no longer there. So I wrote them back. Oh, sorry to hear that, but I would love to come back and do another thing.
That's awesome. Well, dude, let me know if you're coming down. That'll be fun. Yeah. That'll be fun.
So in Tampa, we used to play in Dunedin.
Yeah. That's a nice little town, not far away. Really nice town.
I love that town. Yeah. That was the first time we pulled up. We had come from playing like a bunch of really bizarre, like 3 or 4 clubs in a row that was just really bizarre, and I was just hating it. I'm not super hating it, but I'm like,
well, it's not your thing. It's like it's not rewarding. I get it.
It's real. One of them was a club. I think it was in Macon, and it was a college bar, so it was like a Tuesday night, and they have like a couple hundred kids in there on a Tuesday night, but there was a dartboard right in front of the stage, so you're playing 3 feet away, and there's like 4 guys watching and staring, and maybe one girl going, "This is awesome," and everybody else is, trying to drink as much as they can and be in college, and then they're throwing darts right in front of you.
Nice.
And I was like, wow, this is just not what I want to do. But then we pulled up at Dunedin, and I was like, wow, this is really nice. And then we walked in, and everybody was super nice. And
you played at the Cultural Center there?
No, we played in Dunedin. We played at Dunedin Brewery.
Okay.
This was like, I was doing the club thing with my trio.
This is funny, man. I just pulled out, like today, I got an article to show my wife. It says, why is Dunedin, the best city in America is actually right here in Florida, Dunedin. And I wanted to show it to my wife because we go over there once in a while just to grab, something to eat and a drink or something like that, Yeah. It's a cool little town. It's a really nice
You know what I loved about it is when we were waiting to play, and then they put us up in the hotel, and so we got to hang out there for a while. The first thing that struck my mind was that there were 20-year-olds sitting at a table drinking and talking to 50-year-olds, and there might have been a 60-year-old or 70-year-old that stopped and talked to both of them for a while, and none of them were related.
Yeah, it's a small town.
Yeah, it's just people were just getting along and hanging out and communicating, and I really dug that. They were like, the generation gap was like just. They're just people that live in a sea town. You know what I mean?
You know what, man? It's when you grow up in New York, like you and I did, that's foreign to us.
Unless there's a tragedy.
Yeah, right. But, that's the way it is in some of these small towns. It's like that. And it's really like I go there and I say it's cute. And I don't mean that in a condescending way. It's cute. Like it's in a positive way. Like it's nice that, that's a small town feel where you do speak to different people and black and white are hanging out. And it's just a very laid back, chilled out kind of thing. Yeah. I understand that because growing up in the Bronx and, growing up in Queens, it's like, we're always on our defenses and someone's always trying to jack you or hustle you. And it's always that, eyes in the back of your head shit. Like some of these smaller towns, like even here in Tampa, it's pretty mellow, man. It's very mellow.
Yeah, I like it. And then we started hanging out and staying in Key Largo. We'd come down and play.
That's very cool.
Not Key Largo? No.
Just north of Key West.
Largo, yeah.
Oh, Largo, that's right. Largo. That's really cool. That's another cool little town. Yeah, by Dunedin. It's not far from Dunedin.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very cool, man. That's so funny, man. Small world.
Yeah.
So what would be number 3? You had Montauk Benefit playing with Rick, Billy Joel, Paul Simon, watching you win your Grammy on TV, which is hilarious. What would be number 3? Cool experience.
I don't know if it would be playing on The Price is Right, or it's like a 3-way tie between playing on The Price is Right.
Like you a house band on Price is Right?
No, there was no house band. It was just and your viewers can look it up. It's on YouTube. All right, so two of the three-way tie are again related. I was doing a play with the Native American artist Joy Harjo in California, LA. I pulled in, and as soon as I drove, I had driven from San Diego. As soon as I drove into LA, I got a phone call from the artist rep from Ibanez. It said, "Hey, would you be interested in playing on The Price Is Right?" I'm like, "Sure." He goes, "Oh, okay, great," because they liked you and picked you out of the group of guitar players we suggested. He goes, "When can you fly?" And I said, "I just drove into LA. I'm here."
Wow.
It was perfect. So I got to play in The Price Is Right, and my family got to see that, and they really dug that. And it was The Price Is Right. I mean,
that's cool, man.
You're walking around backstage, and you kind of go, "There's the Wheel of Fortune," kind of thing. And then a week later, the guy who was doing sound for the play said, "Hey, would you mind playing a solo on this record for the Dalai Lama?"
Wow.
I'm like, you can't say no, so sure. So I did that. So The Price Is Right, Dalai Lama. And before, when I'm packing up my stuff to head back to Santa Fe, The Price Is Right called and said, "Can I come back?" And so I did The Price Is Right. So I rounded out the month of February that year. I think it was 2000. I want to say it was 2010. By doing the extremes, The Price Is Right, the Dalai Lama.
Yeah.
One's about possessions, and the other one's totally not about possessions.
Right.
And then back with the Price Is Right.
How did you get connected with the Dalai Lama? That's like random. Dude, I need to send me a lock of hair or something, man. I need to rub something of yours, man. That's pretty cool.
It's just, I think if you stay around in music long enough, you survive. I mean,
yeah.
A lot of people can't hang as long.
Yeah.
But and then I don't know. I was gonna say a three-way tie, but I don't. Playing with Miguel Bose, I think the biggest crowd was 90,000 people, which is frightening in 2000 and in 1988.
90,000 people.
I think it was 90,000 people at this park.
That's like serious. Wow. And where was that?
In Seville, Spain. Seville.
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome, man. So let's take a step back from it. You originally from the city. What was growing up like for you? What was your childhood like?
I had chronic asthma, chronic bronchitis. So I didn't do well for running or going outside in the cold.
Wow.
So, and I had pneumonia twice as a kid in the summertime, which is the worst.
Is that why you live out in the warmer climates now?
Well, it's a little too warm here, but
dude, it's too warm everywhere. Trust me.
That's not why I live here. I moved to Alabama to spend time and take care of my mom.
Yeah. Okay. All right. You mentioned that.
But yeah, I mean, I grew up and I started playing guitar at 9, and there was a kid that showed me how to play. I had a toy guitar before then. There was a kid that showed me how to play one song, and then that, when you can't go outside and play, then you look inward. And I'm also an only child, so.
So you're
brothers and sisters to play with in the house, so I just would play more guitar and channel more of that, and then it became more of an obsession thing. I was able to do a little bit of sports later on when we moved to Queens, and I was a little bit older teenager, but can only do it for so much, And then in the wintertime, I didn't go outside too much at all. I would just stay and play.
Did you go to like a music high school or something? No.
I am self-taught. I can't read music really. I understand music theory to a degree, practical, useful theory.
Yeah.
I can look at paper and I can dissect it after a while. And chord charts, I have an idea, but I don't know. I haven't had that many times where I've had specifically had to read music. Yeah,
very few people. And there's certain cats that do that. Yeah.
Yeah. If I knew how to read it, probably there'd be more situations that it would be coming really handy, but I just haven't done it.
How'd you learn theory?
From the back pages of Guitar World magazine, Guitar Player magazine.
But you didn't just read it. You babysat it and over, and you just, yeah.
Well, there's a couple other things that happened that, like things would happen and I would learn. I learned bits and pieces of music theory information here and there. In the back of Guitar Player magazine, they used to have like all these lessons.
Yeah.
And if you subscribe long enough, then you might come in and go, this is a cool thing on the cycle fifths. I don't know really what the cycle fifths are for, something like that. And then eventually one of the other instructors will say something related to the cycle fifths. You go, oh, I know that, or how to do that. And so that happened. And then I would hang out. I was always hanging out with like at least a group of 10 guitar players.
Out in Queens? Or just guys throughout the city, or out in Queens, or?
Yeah, growing up in Far Rockaway, Queens, and then later on in the 5 towns on Long Island, then in Manhattan, and it would be different levels of what people knew. When the Long Island crew was, you know who John Levin is?
Man, I interviewed him. He plays. He's Dawkins' guitar player now. He's he's a lawyer.
Dude, I was in John's house every day when we were 16, 17 years old.
That's wild, man.
Anything, yeah.
That is wild. What is so funny? He's a lawyer and a guitar player.
When we were growing up, there was close to about 10 guitar players. There was the jazz guy who would come in every now and then, go check this chord out, and we're like, Jeff, that's gonna break your fingers. And then he'd be like, hey, John, have you heard the new Van Halen song? Go, oh, you mean this? And he would just start playing it, or Yngwie or Dokken. He would do the Dokken stuff.
That's
and then we
funny,
had
man.
another guy that was the blues guy. I was like semi the funk guy and the pop guy. Yeah.
Did you know those guys like Randy Jackson or the guys from Twisted?
He's a little older, and we would talk. We would go see them. They were they were in the next level up.
Oh my God.
Like John was probably 16, 17. And no, he's probably 16, 17. And I might have been 18. I might have been 18, 19.
He's close in age to both of us. I know that. He's not that far apart from either one of us. Yeah.
Yeah, but I know his, knew his mom really well, and his dad was a dentist, and his sister.
Right. He told me that. That's
one
funny.
of his sisters I knew well. But yeah, it was in Arnie Myatt. I don't know if you know Arnie Myatt. He was the local guy. Arnie was older. He went to Berkeley at the time that I did. Yeah, there was always guitar players hanging. So you just ask questions. It's like one of those things. Well, what's new? What are you working on? Oh, check this chord out. Check this out. Check this lick out. Check the scale out. And then you start to put it together.
Did you know you always wanted to play for a living?
I don't think I ever thought it was going to be anything else. I always played.
Yeah.
And right out of high school, I just started playing more.
Right.
Did a couple bands on the island, and then started going into Manhattan and playing.
Where'd you play in the city? What were some of the clubs that you played?
I was playing all over the city. By that time I got my first tour in 1988, I was playing like the Bitter End, Kenny's Castaways, Terror Blues.
Oh my God, all those
Club,
places.
The China Club. In fact, I got the Miguel Bose tour because Carmine Rojas was.
I know Carmine. He's coming on my show like in a week or two. Yeah.
Yeah, Carmine came back to town. He was done doing some tour, but he was about to go on another tour. And I think he originally was going to do the Miguel Bose tour. And when he said he couldn't do it, he said I believe he would help put together the band. And so most of the guys that he knew in town were out on the road already. So when he would ask, this is what he told me, when he would ask people in the clubs, that every time he would go to a club in New York City, like, who's the bass player that, that's cool? Who's the new guitar player that's cool? In town, he said my name would come up always in the first 3 mentions.
Ah, that's great, man.
He got a hold of my number and contacted me, and he's the reason I did that Miguel Bose tour.
That's great, man. I think I probably asked you, do you know Eddie Martinez?
I do know Eddie Martinez.
Yeah.
I don't know him super well, but I'm a fan. Fan.
Great player, man. Great guy.
Yeah, again, Carmine and Eddie were were even 2 tiers up from where, when I was doing it and stuff like that. So didn't have access to those guys, but I knew exactly who they were. And if they were playing at any club in New York City, it was like, Eddie Martinez is playing. You got to go.
Yeah. Man, it's really funny. I spoke to because he's coming on my show soon, Billy Sheehan the other day, the bass player.
Yeah, sure.
And his first band was a band called Taos. They broke it big. They were, and he was telling me that. I said, man, I remember I was down in the Village at one of those used record shops, and I bought Taos, the first record. And he said, what happened was, he goes, we broke it really big there because we were supposed to open up for, do you remember this band Riot?
Oh yeah, sure.
They were supposed to open up for Riot one night, and Riot didn't show. So they headlined the act, and he goes, we did really well that night. And like, all of a sudden we were sort of like a thing in New York for a while.
Cool.
So it's really weird how it's a very small community, isn't it?
It is. I will say that those were some of the best musical experiences, learning ones, the hard ones, and the not so hard ones. I mean, those are the days King's X would come into town and play a 3.5-hour show.
Wow. That's crazy, man.
My friends were in a band called A Body that had Lenny Kravitz singing lead in it.
That's wild.
You go to China Club and it would just be everybody there because, that band and stuff like that. There were so many really good. Dan Reed Network used to come to town and just pack out the Cat Club,
Did you know Michael Hill?
Yeah, I know Michael.
Yeah, good guy. I had him on the show.
Gordon Gaines. Do you remember Gordon Gaines?
No, the name sounds familiar. I can't replace it.
Yeah, he was he would be the doorman at the bitter end, but he was one of the most amazing guitar players you'd ever meet. He passed away.
Yeah. Oh man, that's too bad. Yeah, that was the bitter end, Kenny's Cat, all those clubs that were like you were going through like my childhood, man. I'm thinking tick, 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 all ticking them each one off. That's pretty cool.
Yep.
What were some of the bigger surprises when you did first start playing professionally, like about the business or about anything, if there was any?
Oh, there was always surprises. Just the way things worked. I had done touring outside of the country before I'd done a tour in the country. So getting to be in a bus and driving through the heartland of America and seeing how beautiful this country was pretty cool.
That's nice.
The tour bus lifestyle was kind of interesting. I loved the moments on the stage. I really did love the moments on stage. So no matter, if things were not going well, because there's lots of stuff that goes on a tour that you kind of go, all right, I really need to be here for this, but the on-stage stuff was really cool. Festivals, and we had a lot of other acts and stuff like that. That's
cool. Any low points, Larry? What were some of the darker periods or lower points you've had to deal with, and how'd you get through them?
Another one that involves serious synchronicity. After the Tracy Chapman tour, my management sued me.
Holy smokes.
I didn't want to sign another record deal because I had been on 5 record labels at that time and not gotten any money from any of them.
Wow.
And I would still go out and run into people and go, hey, how's the Tracy Chapman tour going? I go, it ended like 3 years ago, man. 2 years ago. Like, really? Oh, we could have used you on this record, but we didn't know you were back. It's not like it is now with social media. You get off the road and you go, hey, I'm back in town for 2 days. Who's got a gig or whatever?
Right.
And just people think, oh, you're doing this big tour and you're on it for like years.
Yeah, but out of sight, out of mind, that's the problem.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I didn't know what I was going to do. And a friend of mine said, you need to make a record. I go, well, I'm not signing another record deal. I don't have money to do a record. It cost a lot of money to make records back then. Now we can make a record on my iPad or phone. And a good one, actually.
Yeah.
And my friend Sam said, here's the keys to my house. I have studio gear in the basement. Go make a record.
Wow.
And it was one of those, it was a scary moment, but I would get on the train and go, and I was living in Manhattan at the time, and I was going back to Queens to work on this record. And I had only been on the other side of the glass. I had a 4-track, but I had only really been on the other side of the glass. So I was able to call people, what the world considers really great engineers and producers and go, hey man, how do I plug in this compressor again? And how do I do this? And how do I do that? And everyone stopped what they were doing. It took time to help me out.
That's really cool, man.
And and people came out to Queens and played on this record, and I made a god-awful record. Because the songs weren't good. And in the process of trying to salvage, a friend of mine came out who mixed records for a living, and he goes, let me hear what you did. Let me see, what we could do with it. And I played, and he goes, what else you got? And I'm like, I don't have anything else. He goes, what about those acoustic songs you were writing in your apartment in Manhattan? So I said, well, I don't know. He goes, well, work on those to practice. So in 2 weeks, I would come down and try and salvage the electric record that had all these really good players on it, but with bad songs. And then I would end the day by just sticking this little Yamaha QY20 sequencer that I had programmed drums and keyboards on and percussion, record them into multi-tracks, figure out how to line it up, and then start overdubbing massive amounts of acoustic guitars. And then my friend came back 2 weeks later and goes, all right, let me hear what you're doing. And I played him the electric stuff. And he goes, all right, so what else you got? And I said, well, I got these acoustic songs you told me to practice on. And then he listened to it and goes, this is really cool. Why don't you let me mix it? I'm like, let you mix it? You mix records for a living. Go ahead, mix it. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. It's acoustic. I was Mr. Rock and Roll at the time.
Sure.
He mixed it. So now I have not a good sounding, not good performing, not good written electric record. And then an acoustic record that I put no time into that sounded really good. And again, without going too much into long details, I could not have stopped. I just had to stand out of the way. That record happened 100% by staying out of the way and letting it run its course. I stopped up at Guitar World magazine. They said, hey, you've been recording, right? What have you been working on? And I said, well, I got some acoustic songs. So I gave them the acoustic cassette to play. And one of the guys said, hey, can I have a copy? I said, sure, it's a cassette, keep it. That was on a Friday. On Monday, he called me up and goes, you have artwork for this record? I go, what record? He goes, it's the record you dropped off. I said, that's just a collection of acoustic songs. I'm not sure what I'm doing with it. He goes, well, you got a great review. I go, how can I get a review in 3 days over the weekend? Guy came in on Friday to drop off a review. Heard it playing in the office, borrowed it, reviewed it, brought it back on Monday and got a review. And then they also said they had a spot in the next issue. But
Holy smokes.
I needed artwork. And I was like, I don't have any money for artwork. I don't know what I'm doing. I got to make a decision. I want this to be a record because it's so different than what I do.
I don't even have a name of a record. I
didn't have a name. I didn't have anything. And I was walking down the street in Manhattan, ran into this woman that I'd only ever seen at night in clubs. And she was all business tired. And I'm like, what's up? And she's like, she said, what's up? And I said, I'm trying to figure out what's going on. And this record, but I need artwork. She goes, that's what I do, artwork, right? Graphic arts. No, I didn't know that. So by the end of the week, I had made a decision to make it a record. And a guy came from Japan, read the review, wanted a copy of the record, got him a copy of the record, offered me a licensing record deal in Japan. For 3 years. I didn't know what music licensing was out of the country. But I remember that at NAMM show right before that, I had met these group of people, and there was a woman in it that was a music attorney. She gave me a card. She said she specialized in licensing music outside of the country. I got distribution.
What is the
from
chances?
Walking down in front of Tower Records, and the manager asked me what's up, and I told him, and he goes, well, we don't like to order copies. Who's your label? I said, I don't have a label. He goes, who's the distributor? I said, I don't have a distributor. He goes, hold on a second. Came back, he goes, call these people. They're in Manhattan, they're local, they'll distribute it, we'll buy copies and have you in for an in-store. I stayed out of the way. I just had to go, all right,
Okay, but so let me ask you this, because first of all, it's a great story, man. It's a good, so
there's more too. There's so much more, but it's just every inch of the way something happened. Like, okay, I'm sorry, Dad.
No. So how were you okay staying out of the way?
I don't think I realized what was going on so much until later on. I liked it, but I was like, well, this is not what I normally do. And everybody else was like, oh, this is really cool. And I go, well, yeah, but this is not what I normally do. And then one thing would happen after another. The record was mastered at Masterdisc. I had zero money because the guy wanted to master it. You know what I mean? And I'm like, all right, yeah, let him master it. You know, I'm going to say no.
Of course.
It wasn't supposed to be a record at that point. It's just like, it's this collection of songs, master it. Sure, I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Getting distributions, like, all right, I guess it's for sale outside of America. I might as well have it for sale in America. So I borrowed some money and pressed some copies, and then I had distribution. That was a whole nother thing. I didn't know anything about distribution. This was a time when artists weren't making their own records. Very few of us were making our own records at the time. Now, everybody makes their own CDs and stuff like that. But, you know, 1995, I believe it was, nobody was really, not a lot of people were making their own records. And next thing I was on panels talking about how to do it independently. And I'm like, I stumbled into it. Sorry, I really did. I stumbled into it.
That's amazing. You know, when I hear stories like this, I'm not a really religious person at all, but I got to believe that, you know, I hear stories like that, and I've experienced things like that in my life, that there's something else moving stuff around.
Sometimes it feels like, remember that game Sim City?
Yeah.
You put your character in this situation and watch what happens, and then you can steer them into another situation. You just have to be like, all right, this could be cool, just don't mess it up.
Right.
But that really had nothing to do with it.
But there's a gift in being able to do that. You know that, to sit and say, okay, I'm going to trust the universe that this shit is moving forward with, you know, so it's good vibes. So and you got to let yourself go to do that.
Yeah.
You know,
think about all the opportunities or things that probably did happen that I didn't do that. Or you didn't do that. You didn't follow that. You know what I mean? You forced your way into something.
Yeah, right. You know? Totally. Oh, I know there's probably been loads of them for me. I can tell you right now.
Yeah, I think there's been loads for me that I'm just like, yeah, I don't want to do that. You know, follow your gut. Both those times with the Billy Squier band and with meeting Nile at the China Club again were situations where I was at Penn Station and I missed the 110 train. The next train was like 310, and I could hang out in Penn Station, or I could go do something. And hanging out at Penn Station was just not so I said, you know what? I'm going to hop on the subway. Go up to China Club. By the time I go up there, see who's playing, say hello to everybody, and then hop on the train and come back. I can catch a train. Both of those were like, or I could just sit here.
Well, you know what? That's a diehard. You're a diehard. I know you're not a drinker, but you're a diehard partier, because that is effort to go hop on the train and go up to a club and then come back, and you're just going to make it by the skin of your teeth.
Yeah. Well, not about partying, but, you know, in New York City, it's like you need to stay you need to stay in people's sights.
Yeah.
To see about, like, you know, who's playing. Maybe you're going to catch somebody that's really cool playing.
Yeah.
Or, you know, there might be a gig in it. And it was. Both times there was a gig into it. Much bigger than I thought. I thought I'd run into somebody and say, hey, you know, I got this gig. Can you do it, like, you know, next week?
Yeah, Thursday night or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So you go out, you might as well hang out there. Not too many people are going to offer me a gig in Penn Station.
In Penn Station, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I'd be trying to not fall asleep and not have anybody steal my guitar.
Oh, yeah.
So.
No, it's definitely, no, you got to be out there. It's not going to happen sitting in your house. Totally. I have 3 kids. My younger son, he's 27 now. But about 2 years ago, he came to me and he goes, when he graduated high school, he went to college, didn't do well. He kind of screwed around. And he said, Dad, I think I want to go back to college, but man, I'll be like 30 something when I graduate. I said, look, you're going to be 30 something anyway.
Yeah.
You might as well be 30 something with a skill that you like than not. Mm-hmm. And he said, okay. And then, so it was the same thing. You know, you got to be, that time's going to elapse anyway. Might as well do something good with it.
Something positive.
If you could go back, Larry, and give advice to your younger self, is there any advice, assuming you would have listened, that you would have liked to have heard that would have made your life easier in one way or another?
That's a tricky question because then you're into a time.
Right. If you did this, then you wouldn't have done that. You made a left turn. Then yeah.
But one thing is take a business class. I don't know how you can tell your younger self to change expectations. That's something that you or to roll with things more than to deal with expectations. Because it took me a long time to realize that especially what I want to do doesn't necessarily involve being like this big rock star. It involves, I'm happy to be working and playing and sharing and contributing. And you can actually have a career doing that.
Yeah.
You don't have to play on giant stages. You don't have to play in clubs all the time. There are lots of ways to do it. Alternative venues, alternative everything. And I would have said take a piano class, because I played keys on tons of records, but I'm not a keyboard player, so I have to like work on, production. I have to like stop and start. Anything that involves real piano sounding things, I have to hire somebody for.
Right.
But I play a lot of bass, drums, and keyboards on the records I produce. And drums I'm okay with. Bass I'm definitely okay with. Keyboards just like, does it really need to be this piano part? Or can it be like a patty kind of thing or whatever? So it would be nice to be able to sit down and play piano and play a song, like have it sound like a piano song. Definitely the business thing. I would probably want to approach music theory earlier. But then again, I don't know how that would have changed, how that would affect how I approach things now, how I play things now. So I don't know.
The business thing, that's one of the most common answers.
Yeah.
From every musician is, probably get a little more up to speed on business.
Yeah, because you don't get into it until you really have to. And things go, a lot of times when things go sour.
Yeah.
And then you go, wow, I should have saw this coming. And you don't see that coming until you take some sort of business class or hang out with somebody that's, if you have it in your family naturally, if your parents own a restaurant or whatever,
right,
then you're thinking a little differently,
Totally,
so,
man.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about gear for a minute. What's your go-to guitar right now, and what other two guitars would round out your top three?
Well, I've been an Ibanez artist for 26 years. And then I met Joseph Nags, and I switched to Nags guitars. And he has a guitar model called a Severn, and they're made in America in Maryland, in Greensboro, Maryland, I believe. And Joe Nags, and if you're not familiar with him, he used to run the PRS private stock program.
Yeah,
he created it.
Yeah,
and designed the Starla, the Mira, the Vera or Versa, the Archtop series, and a couple other ones for Paulie Smith. But the Severn is more like I believe Joe has a 64 or a 63 Strat, and it's kind of in that vibe, but with a little bit of a telliness to it. And we joke that it's like a modern vintage. It feels like a vintage guitar, except that it's got all the right thing. You play some vintage guitar, and there isn't that fret up there doesn't work, and all kinds of stuff. And that all works on his guitars. It's sustained, the intonation, everything about it works. The fret work is great, the tone, and the weight is great, which is amazing too.
Yeah.
So Joe has a way of just taking all the coolness of old guitars and just improving on little things here and there. Nothing radically changing, but just little things here and there that make all the difference in the world. And I have some vintage guitars, and I go to use them. I used to use them on sessions all the time, and I go to use them on sessions, and they're like, I'm fighting with all these things. It's got a little mojo, but I'm fighting with lots of little things. And then I start picking up my Nags guitars, and they're great. So the Nags, it's a Severn. It's got
so it's like a thin line.
Well, this one is a hollow, a semi-hollow. Yeah.
Yeah, like Strat-ish.
Yes, like a 64 Strat.
Yeah.
The telly part is this is what holds the tremolo on the top.
Okay.
It's a plate like a telly.
Yep.
Can you see it?
Yep. Sure can.
And it wraps around the pickup, and the tremolo is attached to that, not attached to pins and stuff like that, so they don't wear out on the body. And with Ibanez, I think I was used to like 14 radius and fingerboard, and these are 8.5, and you notice it, but you don't. Like it didn't affect my playing in a bad way at all. I think it probably affected it in a more positive way. But
so that's a thicker neck. 8.5 is much thicker than I'm
talking about the fretboard radius.
Oh, okay, the fretboard. All right.
But this is a thicker neck than just most of the Ibanez guitars I had. The last couple Ibanez guitars that they made for me had a little bit of a thicker neck.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. And then they have I just got the Kanai, which is more like a single cut kind of thing, like a Les Paul vibe. Mm-hmm. And then a Chenna, which is a full hollow body, which is
wow.
Yeah, and I have a 330, by the way. I have a Gibson ES330.
How's the 330 different from the 335?
The 335 has a center block
right
down the middle. The 330 has no center block. It's full hollow body.
Totally full hollow. Okay.
Yeah, so it'll feedback, somewhat for and metal volumes, metal tones. But this is more like that. It has no center block. It's full hollow body, and people pick this up and go, "Man, this is really light." It's a little bit bigger. Cool. And Joe's neck joints. There's like I said about little things. The neck joint. I don't know if you can see the neck joint.
Yeah. It's really far down, kind of looks like.
Yeah, but it just feels really comfortable. I don't know how to explain it. But a lot of times people will notice that. You notice little things. It's got locking tuners, but they look like vintage, they're
right.
Vintage tuners.
Yeah, a lot of the boutique guys are able to, there's little subtle differences. It's kind of like the differences between European cars and American cars. This interior, especially, that's not like major. It's minor, but it's tremendous. But the benefit is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Things that really make a difference.
Yeah, but it's not like dramatic, but it's just like this little subtle thing makes your life so much easier in that particular aspect.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know
Absolutely.
why they can't do that with, Fenders and Gibsons, but whatever.
I bet a lot of companies, if they have something that's tried and true, they probably are a little nervous about messing with it.
Yeah.
Although both those companies have messed with things drastically.
Yeah.
Had some, it's like, what? Why did you do that? Instead of them doing little things, they do like drastic things.
Yeah, like the tuner. Was that the automatic tuner thing from a few years back?
The automatic tuner, or just Gibson making a Strat type guitar,
right.
Fender making a Les Paul type guitar, and just some bizarre stuff. But I have both. I have Gibson and Fenders. I was born in '64, so I started collecting a few things from 1964. So, but nothing major. I would love a '64 Strat. Just haven't been able to do it. I have a '64 Melody Maker.
Mm-hmm.
I have a '64 Epiphone nylon string 3/4 size. I have a '64 Gibson something 01. I don't know what it's called. Acoustic. That I turned to a high 6 guitar for recording. Mm-hmm. Nashville tuning.
A lot of people do that. They get their birthday and they start, collecting guitars from. Yeah, that's a very common thing.
Yeah. And so it's not 64 Strat is a good thing. So if anybody wants to donate one to me.
Sorry, man. I had to laugh at that. That was very select. I like that. You're not even looking for like a cheap deal. You want a donation, man.
Oh, yeah.
Go for it, man. Right?
Yeah.
Desert Island Discs. No, let me ask you this. Favorite players you've enjoyed jamming with?
Ooh, Steve Vai.
Mm-hmm.
Andy Timmons.
Mm-hmm.
Nile Rodgers. These are known guys.
Yeah. I've had Steve and Andy on the show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Andy's just wonderful. I've opened for Eric Johnson. I've been around Eric Johnson a bunch, but I've never shared the stage with him. I've never jammed with him. But yeah, Andy and Eric are probably my two most favorite players for phrasing and stuff. I always have a blast jamming with Steve Vai. Just really have a blast. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of other guitar players that I love that I wish I had a chance to jam with on stage, but I am not.
Put it out there, man. Who do you want to jam with?
I would love to jam with Eric Johnson.
Yeah.
I'd love to jam with Steve Lukather. And I've never been on stage jamming with Steve Stevens. I'd love to jam with Steve. Steve, You're listening.
There you go. I had him on the show. Really good guy.
There's more, I know, and I'm just drawing a blank right now. It's gonna pop out throughout the interview. I'll just keep yelling.
It's all right. Keep shout it out. Desert Island Discs, man. Top 3. No particular order. Just knee-jerk reaction, just for like this moment, because I know I could ask you this in an hour. It'll be 3 different ones.
Oh, Prince, the For You album. It's the Seal album, which is, they're all called Seal. What's it called? They're all called Seal, right?
All of his albums, it's like Seal 1, 2, 3, and 4 or something?
Yeah, Seal 2. Which actually, the way they make it looks like Seal 11.
And what else?
And then oddly, Avia Musicom.
Oh yeah. Eric Johnson. Most important things, Larry, that you've learned about yourself throughout your life.
It's okay to fail, if you want to call it fail, once you learn stuff, and don't repeat the same mistakes. To know when I shouldn't do something, like absolutely shouldn't. An example is when I first got the deal with Ibanez. I did a tour. I got one guitar, and then I did a tour, and they sent me a couple more guitars. And when the tour ended, Steve Blucher from DiMaggio had sent me some new pickups to try. And I was like, I'm not really good at this, but I'll give it a shot. And within an hour or two, I think I managed to fry pickups and pots on 3 guitars. Wow. So cool. Because I would mess up something and go, oh crap. And I would just like, all right, let me try this guitar. And then I took the train, because I didn't start driving from New York. I'm really in New York. I started driving I got my license in 1999 when I lived in San Diego.
Right. No, that's not unusual.
And so I took the train to Bensalem, Pennsylvania. And I remember Jim Donahue looking at my guitars, and he kept going. He goes, "Who did this?" I said, "I did." He goes, "All right." And he get the next guitar, and he goes, "Who did this?" I said, "I did." He goes, "Let's call your techs." And he basically told them, the guitar techs, to go to my house and find all the soldering irons and throw them in the trash. I have not tried to solder anything since.
Yeah, it's not.
I know some limitations, and I'm like, software, I'm good at software.
Right.
The hardware thing, because I have one of the early beta units of the Axfex 3, they physically changed the hardware piece in there. And so Fractal sent me the board. I opened the box, and there's a little circuit board, and I'm like, oh, this could end badly. And they're like, no, you can do it. I'm like, this could end really badly. So I'm gonna see if I can get a friend to come over and help me do it, because I don't know what it is about opening hardware.
Yeah, I think electronics has got to be. It's one of those things you got to be into it.
Yeah, software I could do. Pedal boards, I can put together a pedal board. I can, and that's what I used to hate, like trying to make cables because I would burn my fingers. But the solderless cables, I'm all about, and now like these little flat patch cables and stuff like that, so I can wire up pedal boards and stuff.
Right.
And actually, Vernon always teases me because we had a long conversation when I did my first big tour with Miguel Bose in Spain and Italy. And I had a 16-space shotgun rack with a boogie preamp, a 2290, and a bunch of stuff. And I don't remember where it was, but Vernon saw the rack, and he goes, "Man, all the cables are really nice." And it was laid out perfect because it just was. And he goes, "You did that?" I said, "Well, actually, I put it together, but my mom made the wiring."
Oh my God,
"What?"
how funny is that?
Yeah, my mom, she, especially the AC stuff, I wasn't even gonna think about doing that.
That's very
so
cool.
He always jokes and says that my mom's the coolest wiring up a rack.
That is very cool.
That was 30 something years ago too.
So when you said it's okay to fail, you were rough on yourself when you failed as a kid, as a young?
No. Actually, I don't know about rough on myself, but it's not really rough on myself. It's not the end of the world. I mean, when you try and do something, you fail. It's not the end of the world. It's just like when you rode a bike for the first time, you fell.
Yeah,
you didn't go, that's it, I'm done. You get back up and you try it again. You learn from, and you keep falling until you learn from mistakes. But we tend not to do that as we get older with other things, like playing guitar, playing an instrument, or learning something, or doing certain things. So it's okay to let go. And actually, there's two parts there. It's okay to, and actually, I've already mentioned the other side, but it's okay to say, all right, that didn't work. Let me try this again. And it's also okay to go, that didn't work. I'm going to try it again, but I don't really think this is for me.
Yeah.
So that's putting those two together has been an eye opener for me.
That's really important to not do things that are for you, because they never work anyway.
Yeah. I mean, there's some things you have to learn when, like, all right, is this really not for me, or am I just don't want to do it, or is it just that I'm scared of failure? I know too many musicians and the people that are just scared of failure, and it's like, you just gotta do it.
Yeah.
I've auditioned for tours that I didn't get, that I should have never auditioned for. And now when people ask me to play, I'm like, I don't see the fit. I know what kind of guitar player I am. I really know what kind of guitar player I am as a sideman from producing and paying attention to that. So there are certain things that are a good fit and certain things that are not good fit as a sideman. And I'm not talking about playing wailing. And most of the sideman gigs I do, especially in the last 15 years or more, I'm not the guy wailing doing solos. I'm the guy adding modulation and huge reverbs and swells and all the texture stuff. I can do that, especially if I'm the only other guitar player that's supposed to do solos. But in sideman gigs, I'm doing more of that than I am doing solos. Even when I did Tracy Chapman's tour, I think I did maybe 6 solos in a night. But Billy, we split solos.
Right.
And Rick, there was no, I was the only one doing kind of solos in that way. But a lot of the singer-songwriter gigs I do, they're not big solo sections and stuff. It's just trying to blend in. And I'm also not the one holding down like the main rhythm of the song, unless it's got a funky part in it, but which most singer-songwriters aren't really.
Right. Really not at all.
I'm more of like just layering the extra overdub guy on top, which I love doing in the studio. I love layering 5 or 6 guitars and getting this sound like maybe 3 big guitars, So.
Favorite New York City food that you miss the most?
I'm not a food guy. Food tries to kill me. I'm allergic to everything.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know food that I miss.
Excuse me.
I haven't been able to eat one of those is it Nathan's hot dogs, or what's the hot dog place on 72nd Street?
Needix.
Is that what it was? It's like $1 for
like the Orange Julius place, that
I think that, yeah.
on Broadway, 72nd and Broadway.
Yep.
Yeah. I think it was like Needix, or it's really funny. I think I told you don't know him, but I interviewed Lenny Castro, the percussionist from Toto, and I asked him this question because he's an ex-New Yorker and he's living in California now. He said the Needix hot dogs. Second, this is like almost like in the last 2 or 3 days. That's really funny to have the same answer.
Yeah, we're going back to a long time, but that was good. And partially, when I lived in Manhattan, especially Manhattan, I was the broke musician, so I think it was like $1 or $1.50 for a drink and a hot dog. But I haven't been able to eat one of those in a long time. But yeah, that was probably it. Or I don't know.
You got to eat careful. You have a lot of food allergies.
Got a lot of food allergies.
What kind of diet do you tend to eat now?
There's not a whole lot of logic. It's just the food that doesn't kill me.
Yeah.
Bacon. I'm big on vitamin B's. Bacon, blueberries, and bananas. I can do like hard cheeses or aged cheese. I like Gouda. Gouda. Or I could do really sharp cheddar. What else? Grilled chicken, rice, steamed vegetables and rice.
So you're eating pretty healthy.
I still eat chocolate. I can't do ice cream, but I do sorbet, which is no dairy, non-dairy.
Right.
I don't know. I don't eat a whole lot of stuff. I eat blueberries all the time.
Blueberries are like a superfood from everything I've read, that they're like so good for you
in
so many different ways.
Yeah.
Happiest
tea and coffee.
Mm-hmm. Tea and coffee, yeah. Mm-hmm. Happiest moment or happiest time in your life?
There's so many cool moments. First was in 1988 doing that Miguel Bose tour, traveling around for the first time. Playing big stages with a huge rack that all the tones I wanted, although I couldn't use them all for the tour. Next was getting my record out, first record. In that whole time period, those from 90 to 93 of doing, like I said, the Billy Squier, Ric Ocasek, Tracy Chapman tours, gigs, and then and playing on a couple other records at that time period, which was really cool. Having my record out, having a video on MTV.
So you had tons of activity at that. Yeah, that's kind of cool.
And it all crashed.
Was that, well, you got to expect that at some point, that, man.
Yeah. Another thing that I would tell my old self, it would be that, and I knew this because people used to joke, if you could survive in the music business for 5 years, you could have a career.
Mm.
And so things get heated up and they build to whatever level, and then they will stop. It just changes, so you just got to get used to it and ride the waves. There's been a couple of big waves, like the first low one was we talked about before, where nobody was hiring me because they thought I was still on the road, and I didn't want to sign another record deal, blah, blah, blah. I came out of that doing a record at my friend's place.
That was a great story, by the way, man. That was just a magical story, man.
Magical moments.
Yeah.
And then the second wave was when things changed again, and I was still trying to come out of it by doing my own stuff. I had figured out I had gotten a studio together myself and started doing my own things, but I ended up getting asked to produce and record other artists, local artists in San Diego, which then led me back to New York, which led me back to New Mexico. For 10 years in New Mexico, I was more concentrated on producing. And that was a way to ride out a different slump. So now I kind of feel like between producing, playing guitar, and I don't want to jinx myself, and being able to teach and stuff like that, I've gotten a couple different avenues. So when there's not a lot of demand for me to play as a sideman, and there's not a lot of demand for me to be an artist, then usually there's some demand for me to produce.
Right.
And vice versa. When I moved from New Mexico to Alabama, I thought nobody really wanted to come to New Mexico in the beginning, when I moved there to produce and started producing. But when I moved to Alabama, people were like, "Where are you at?" I'm like, "I'm in Alabama, 2 hours away from Atlanta airport." I go, "Oh, hey, can you come here and do it?" So I have a portable rig that I can either put in my little car and take with me. It's all high-end stuff, so it's not suffering in quality. It's just I have a big analog board. I can't take that. I have a lot of extra stuff, and I usually like to produce and have a bunch of different guitars, acoustic guitars, electric guitars. So I can't take that stuff. So I can go. It was hard to get people to come from New York, New Mexico, and California to Alabama to work on recordings and stuff. And so I would get in the car and travel and do different things. But for those first 3 years, production because of that was at a minimal for a while.
Right.
But I got in a van with my trio, and we drove around the South and played around the South.
Right.
And then production started coming back more, and I did a little less of that. I still travel to do certain things, but I'm trying to get people to come here more, as in this artist that was just here from, it came down from Nashville. Obviously, I could have gone up to Nashville, which I have done before, do stuff, but I was like, I have this cool studio here. I don't have to go, oh, should I bring this guitar or that guitar? Or
yeah.
this guitar? So it's better to do it this way. But anyway, so the idea is that when as an artist demand slows down, or as a sideman doesn't, it's not happening, then I can do production. And when productions are not happening, I can rev up and try and do more of my shows, or I could put it out there that I can go speak at colleges or different events and stuff like that. And now the whole Dreamcatcher thing, if that continues, that's a whole different thing. It's only a week. It seemed like it was just going to be a week out of year, but I did Vi Academy 4.0 just as one of the basic instructors, doing like not the 4 featured, or not one of the featured artists, but doing a class a day and then running the jams. And the jams turned out to be really good and seemed to be popular. So this year they called me up right at the last minute, asked me to come to G4 experience and do the jam part. I didn't even have to teach, but I turned the jam parts into a lesson. And so this coming up in July, August is Vi Academy 5.0, where I'm one of the featured artists, but I believe I'm still running the jams.
Oh, that's good. So that's you obviously got a skill set there where people vibe on how you're doing the jams.
The jams have been cool. I've been able to get when you go to a jam and there's like 3 guitar players on stage and everybody's wailing away at the same time, or
wanting to, or trying to.
Yeah, or they're playing like the way I try to approach a jam, and I've been able to get 5 guitar players plus me on the stage at the same time.
Dude, that's pretty crazy.
With the bass and drums. And I have 3 simple rules. One is you need to smile and look like you're happy to be here. And they are happy, but they're not just, you can't just look like, wow, it's miserable. 2 is you need to have 2, a rhythm tone and a rhythm volume, and a lead tone and a rhythm and a lead volume. You can't be playing your solo and then just switch the rhythm at the same volume and the same amount of gain and stuff like that. Because you can't hear the person next to you that's soloing, and you want to be heard. So, and I was able to get people to do that. And then the last part is you have to come up with a part. You have to come up with a part that fits, that isn't the same as somebody else's, because we don't need 2 people doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And if if you come up with a cool part, but you're in the same register as two other people it might not be the same part, but it's in the same register, you're clogging up a section. So find something. And afterwards, even people that are like, oh, this is really hard to do, they're concentrating more on like trying to fit in to the whole than just waiting for their 30 seconds to a minute to do a solo. And afterwards, I've gotten lots of emails and comments from people that they really enjoyed that. It made them think, and they're going to try and apply that. I've gone to just regular jams where there's just one other guitar player, and the guy's just wailing away on the rhythm with like, just play, like he might have studied the chord book too much because he's doing like 30 chords in a 12-bar section. Right. And he's got like his volume is louder than than it really needs to be, and the tone is set for lead, and it's like you can't cut through that. And the next step for that is if you're playing with a singer, you got to kind of do the same thing too. You can't be wailing away.
Especially since she's paying you or he's paying you. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. The New York thing, you can't do certain things because you get fired right away. They'll be like, "Oh really? Oh,
yeah.
Let me make a phone call."
But I think it's
remember Bleecker Street to be like, "Hey man, you on the block?" Go around the Red Lion and see who's playing the Red Lion.
I love that street. That was my favorite. I mean, now, like I said, I think we talked. I go back and it's just like, it's so many things missing there. Even my favorite pizza shop is gone. It's just like
the Village Gate turned into a CVS drugstore?
Yes. Yeah.
A lot of life lessons on that street.
Oh, it's just so much. I mean, that whole area was just so wonderful for growing up,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hey, 3 more questions. Any hobbies or interests outside of music?
I'm a sci-fi nut. I like sci-fi.
Oh, that's interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
is this video going on? The video's not going out online, right?
Yeah, the video's going out.
Oh, okay. Never mind. I got a little sci-fi collection here. I was gonna.
Oh, that's cool, man. Well, you watch a lot of movies, sci-fi movies. That's your thing?
I like sci. I love Battlestar Galactica. I like both the original and especially the last one. Star Trek, Star Wars, big time Star Trek, but Star Wars. I'm a diehard sci-fi fan. Where when the Sci-Fi Channel came out, it was the savior for a while. Then it became the horror channel.
Because you couldn't get off it?
No, because they switched to like all horror movies.
Oh, they switched? Okay.
Yeah, it's just after Battlestar Galactica, it seemed like everything was a horror thing, and Sharknado. But
Sharknado.
But the true sci-fi fans, you'll suffer through bad sci-fi, and because that's how much you love sci-fi, and you try and justify, go, well, the ships were really cool in this one. the plot, the dialogue, everything was horrible, but yeah, the ships were really cool. They had some cool, had some cool things about it. The aliens were really cool. You just try and justify it until you get that one show like Firefly, or the movie Serenity, and it's just kind of like, oh yeah, that was great.
That's cool.
Game of Thrones fan. I used to love slot car racing, and I don't even know where my slot car was. Vernon used to do that too. He was
slot car racing. That's interesting.
Yep.
Anybody coming out of New York liking slot car racing is interesting, actually, because like, where do you get exposed to that?
For a minute there in like I think it was 99, 2000, 2001, there was a couple of slot car racetracks that opened up.
In New York?
The big cars in New York. There was one in Brooklyn. I remember there was one in Manhattan. The one in Manhattan, Vernon used to go to. That's how I found out that he was into it. Yeah, I even found one on the Billy Squier tour. We were in San Jose, and I walked out of my hotel room looking for food, and I got sidetracked there for like 3 hours because
slot car
place.
Dude, do you remember down in Chinatown, the Chinatown video game arcade, where they had the chicken?
No.
They had that for years. There's actually I was going to ask you if you knew it because there's a documentary on Netflix about it now. Chinatown Arcade, it's called.
I will check it out.
It was like you go in there and there was a chicken and you put a quarter in and the chicken would always beat you in some video game. It's pretty, yeah, it's pretty iconic. Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't know that. It was there forever.
Yeah.
Forever, man. It was really.
Well, I couldn't have Hobbies in New York, so
it
I
was
was just playing all the time. But yeah, I like sci-fi. I like I don't know, ride my bike. When I was married in New Mexico, I learned to love horses. We had a couple of horses that I was terrified at the beginning.
And you came to like them. They're beautiful animals, man.
Yeah, they're
really
huge.
Pretty.
When you're from New York, you're like, that's a big dog.
Oh yeah. They're massive. You're single now?
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Toughest decision you've ever had to make, or most difficult thing you've had to do?
Wow, that's a good question. Wow. It's gonna be weird because my friends see this, are gonna be like, "What?" It's probably gonna be agreeing to the divorce.
Yeah. You didn't want it?
No. It was, by the time it came, it was like, all right, and it was a very peaceful, easy divorce, but it was a complete change of lifestyle.
Yeah.
But it could be, I don't know. Toughest. I usually handle things pretty well. As far as like, all right.
Most difficult thing you've had to do. You could handle it well, but it was just a tough decision to do.
I think it still comes down to that.
That's a very common, divorce is never easy, whether you have kids or not, or it's always, because there's no reference. Getting married there's no reference manual on that. Maybe you had a good parents, so you have a sort of reference manual, but unwinding it is just so unnatural. There's no frame of there's no direction on that,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's tough, man. Thank you. And last question, and thanks for all your time. I really appreciate it. And thanks for being so cool and open.
Sure.
Biggest change in your personality over the last 10 years, and how much of that change has been intentional and how much is just a part of aging, a natural part of aging?
And a personality. I think I used to worry more I still worry about offending other people, but not to the point where if it damages me. Part of getting older is not being able to tell people to go enjoy themselves. And so I'm not walking away from situations. We just talked about the divorce, but walking away from situations that don't work. Has come to a new level. Actually, I've been able to do that for a while. There's a couple of things I've been working on for 20 plus years. And balance, and it goes back to, all things are related. It goes back to producing, sideman, being just an engineer, which I don't do anymore because I don't enjoy that. Playing as an artist and working with different companies and stuff. So balance. When I was in New Mexico, I did 10 of my shows in 14 years. I'm sorry, 14 of my shows in 10 years. That's not a lot of shows.
No.
I'm
not as from a guy who's put out as much output as you have, especially.
I'm about to do more shows than that in 12 days in Germany.
That's great.
I did some sideman stuff, but to concentrate on my own thing that little, at first was interesting, but then it was like something's missing. But I was producing. I was doing lots of production. And then switching to a moment where I'm doing more playing and not doing more production, I missed that. I enjoy all the little things that I do. So trying to find a balance has been the best thing for me. Producing just enough that I enjoy doing it, playing enough shows. So as an artist, that I enjoy, there's a whole different set of responsibilities when it's your gig and you're responsible for other people. Yeah. And also now I do solo shows where I do with tracks and stuff like that. It's just like I do clinics, but it's not the clinic part. I tell stories about where songs come from and stuff. Doing the sideman stuff where it's like, I just show up, I'm a guitar player. I don't have to worry about, is the hotel room ready? Or, how many this got canceled? I just show up and be a guitar player and I get to try cool stuff. And then I'm not even a producer. I'm just going to play guitar play. I'm going to play a whole bunch of stuff. And until I get the eye of like, really? Are you gonna, that might be a little too much. As a producer, you kind of go, oh yeah, I know. I shouldn't be doing this. But as a guitar player, yeah, this is going to be cool from a guitar point of view, stuff like that. I still approach things a little bit where I'm thinking about the whole picture and stuff like that. But
yeah, you don't come off like a selfish guy at all. Like you seem very not one little bit.
Well, you have to have a healthy bit of selfishness. That's what we're talking
about.
Yeah.
But so to me, when I say selfish, that means like I'm thinking selfish is at someone else's expense usually.
No, I try.
Yeah, you don't come off like that at all. I don't see that.
So having a balance and then dealing with people that places like I know where I shouldn't be playing at. I know what sucks your soul for me. And I don't want to do that. So I'll turn down certain things. I've turned down some tours. I'm actually going to go to Nashville, and I'm driving all the way up there, but it's probably not going to be a situation that I'm going to say yes to doing later on this year. I've had artists contact me all gung-ho about production, and they have the budget, and I go, I think I have a friend that might be better for you to work with. So I usually try and work with artists. I used to go, well, back then when people would do more albums and stuff, I would say, let's get together, work for 4 hours. In 4 hours, you'll have an idea if I am in the same range of what you want it to sound like. I'll have a good idea if I think that we will enjoy working together. Because production, especially as an all-in-one producer like I am, it's me and the artist spending lots of time. It gets just personal because you're spending the most time, and they can't be afraid to try things and worry about that didn't sound good. I'm not going to let anything out that's going to embarrass an artist that I'm working with. I can't be worried about working and having someone over my shoulder every 2 seconds going, why are you doing that? Or what's, I don't like that. And it's like, because I have to try things I have to go all the way to extreme sometimes to come back to minimal.
Yeah.
So I always go, let's do that in 4 hours. And in 4 hours, we should be able to tell. And if it's not working, you don't owe me anything. I'm not going to give you any of the stuff we worked on. And we can go get a hot chocolate someplace and then talk about sci-fi.
Right. That's a great offer from like a marketing standpoint. That is a no risk. That is a really good, that's a wonderful offer.
That's the way it's worked for me. And I think I've only had maybe 3 bad experiences where we went past the point and things changed.
Yeah.
And 2 of those were from an outside influence that I don't know what happened, but things were one way for a moment, and then the next day it was like completely different. But so I try and do that. So I'm not afraid to just walk away. Even when I know like money might be tight or something like that. Yeah, this is not going to be, because it's just going to be miserable, And the same thing with some companies. I have a lot of relationship with companies, but you know, sometimes it's to go, yeah, I'm not going to push this relationship any further. Or in the case with Ibanez, it was just time for me to go. There was a couple people that were at the company at the time that just came in and it just didn't jive. And I felt bad for the new artist relations guy, Mike Origo, who's great. And he kind of understood where I was coming from. I was at Ibanez for 26 years.
I was going to say, that's longer than most marriages, dude. I mean, seriously.
I was there long. I outlived a lot of the people that, you know, that was there much longer than a lot of people that came through. And especially the people that definitely influenced me to not be a part of the company anymore. And they're gone now. And I feel bad, but I'm happy, you know, just hanging out with nags and stuff like that. And so being able to say no to situations, being able to focus on balance, and saying no is about taking care of your internal health.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your mental and spiritual health. What was the original question again?
It was biggest change in your personality over the last 10 years. And it was how much was intentional. Yeah, you've answered it totally, man.
Definitely being able to walk away and not worry about, it's like, look, man, that's your thing. That's great, but this is not going to work. So, you know.
Man, I can't thank you enough for your time. Really, man, I appreciate, this has been really nice. And you've been really open. So I thank you for sharing that.
Oh, thanks, man.
Let me tell people where to find you and some cool stuff you have going on. So you can find Larry on his website at larrymitchell.com. Also, every Tuesday night at sometime past my bedtime, I think like 10 o'clock.
Nope, 9 o'clock Eastern.
9 o'clock Eastern. It was almost past my bedtime. 9 o'clock Eastern is on Facebook. He goes Facebook Live every Tuesday. So go to his Facebook page, which is Larry Mitchell, obviously. And you can check him out.
I'm trying to do it on YouTube as well, but it hasn't been always consistent on YouTube.
You know what? There is some software, and but I know it's out there. I don't use it, that supposedly will put it in both places at the same time.
There's one, because I do it from phones. I guess if I could do it from my laptop, it would work. But I don't always travel with a laptop. There's software on the phones, apps that work on the phones, but they charge you a subscription. And it's
okay.
Yeah, but I think it might work on the laptop. So I may have to start doing that.
Yeah.
And actually, someone gave me another their old iPhone 6 Plus, so I could do both. So now
that's cool.
I have two phones.
So you have two phones, you'll be biphonal. And also check out his YouTube channel, which is just Larry Mitchell, and subscribe to that. Man, any final words of wisdom or anything else I forgot?
No, this has been great. It's nice talking with you, man.
Likewise,
Absolutely.
man. Make sure we'll make sure when you come to replay, hit me up. Let me know. You give me a heads up, and we'll hang out, man.
I was just going to tell you that I had gotten an email from Replay. I wrote him back that I'm doing that residency in New Smyrna Beach, Florida for 3 weeks, and it ends November 2nd or 3rd. And
this year?
Yeah. I'm doing a residency. Tomorrow's the deadline. I think there's 2 spots left, but it's 3-week residency at the Atlantic Center for the Arts in New Smyrna Beach, and they pick 8 people. There's 3 of us artists there: a sculptor and a poet, Joy Harjo, who I toured with and produced.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
And myself. And they pick 8 people, and that are going to work with the artist. So I'm going to do guitar textures and effects and tones and recording. And the recording part is going to expand because there's 2 people that are coming that one that doesn't play guitar, but they're more interested in the whole production and recording side. And then another one that's more a singer-songwriter, not guitar stuff. So right now there's a couple guitar heavy people. So we're going to concentrate and do like general class on guitar and tones a day, and then a recording production stuff a day. And then I'll spend individual time with everybody as well.
When do you promote this? Because it'll be too late by the time this drops. But for next year, if someone wants to participate in that.
They pick different people every year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But you're going to come down you're coming to Tampa after that to do another clinic with Replay?
On the way back, because I got to drive down. I got to drive my portable recording studio down. So, I'm going to draw. You know what? I might stop in just to say hello before. I have to go to Australia the week before.
Oh my God, dude! Talk about a lot of.
Yeah. So I am probably going to be 2 weeks before. I'm going to drive my portable studio down and leave it on the property, and then I'm going to fly from Orlando to Australia.
Wow.
And do this guitar festival, and then fly back the morning that I start.
Holy smokes, man! You that's a busy schedule.
Yeah, well, it's been like not clashing, but like one thing ends and the next thing starts.
Well, I'm glad you got the work. At least it's good work that you like. So
I don't complain about work.
No, man, I hear you. Make hay while the sun shines, right?
Yeah. But so I just spoke with them. I just wrote them back and to see if they want to do the 7th, 8th, and 9th in at Replay. Or either one of those days. So I'll let you know as soon as.
Let me know, dude. I'll come down and we'll hang out, grab bite to eat, or
okay.
Whatever you're allowed to eat, we'll figure it out.
Yeah. Cool.
Everybody, thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this, please share it on your social media channels. We appreciate your support. Thanks very much to Larry Mitchell for spending time with us. Please support Larry and his music. Check him out, most important, on his Facebook Live every Tuesday night. And do you do lessons still or no?
Some. I had a little NFL thing going on. But I think everybody's getting ready for the season to start again. So they're not either not playing guitar right now or doing family stuff. But yeah, I had a few students that are kind of scattered.
Do you have a contact form? If someone is interested in a lesson, can they contact you on your
website?
Go to LarryMitchell.com and hit them up and let them know what you're interested in and a little bit of background as far as you're playing, and we'll get back to you and let you know. And
you know what I do? Yeah. Also, you can contact me. I do like the house concerts, but what's an interesting turn of events. I've done house concerts for people and their general friends that they invite, because it's not a public thing. A house concert, you open your house. But the next day, I've stayed over, and the next day we've done with the guitar people either a fractal clinic, or just a guitar, like a general class thing. And a couple of times I've done like a whole day of personal private lessons.
That's cool, man. So if you want to get your fill of Larry Mitchell, hit him up, and you could do the whole house concert thing and have all your friends and hang out with Larry and see a real guitar player, man. Make sure you go to everyonelovesguitar.com, sign up to get on our newsletter list so you and I can connect. And most important, remember that happiness is a choice, so choose wisely. Be nice. Be nice. Go play a guitar and have fun. Till next time, peace and love, everybody. I'm out.